Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Hello there. Welcome back.
Welcome back, guys. This was our Patreon exclusive this morning. A message from the Galactic Federation, the shocking reality behind the 3 days of darkness, the AI takeover, all the craziness that's going on, and some things that have happened in history that were never really explained, I don't think, like this.
No, it wasn't. And this is very fluid. There's going to be more channelings after this one.
Yep, absolutely. And with people channeling now, thankfully, there are many that are starting to channel. Again, discernment is needed, obviously, but the one thing I think a lot of people can discern is that they can't trust anything in the mainstream news. Certainly not. And, you got to be cautious about pretty much all the sources out there. See what resonates. Max Velocity says, tornado outbreak likely today over the Great Plains. Let's put our positive intentions out there. Oklahoma, Kansas, you guys are in the bullseye, even as far as Nebraska, Texas. But as always in these times, you got to just stay alert. You really have to stay alert and aware. And trust your feelings, truly.
Mm-hmm. That's key. You need to go back to that center that you have. Keep going back there so you recognize it when you are there.
Absolutely. And so, unbelievable devastation after multiple tornadoes hit multiple states. Yeah, pretty horrible. We send our prayers out to all those involved, all those that have suffered through yet another weather event, and it's just staggering what we have seen. Again, I go back to the first eclipse back in August of 2017. Just seems like everything went bonkers after that. They say 33 people lost their lives in this latest series.
I mean, look at that. That is just absolutely what are they going to do? How do you build back from that? Do you want to build back from that? What's going to happen to all these people?
Yeah, some details shared over on Patreon. Again, we invite you to join us over there. Here you see a powerful storm hit northern Buenos Aires province in Argentina, flooding at least 15 districts. Over 4,100 people evacuated. Many rescued from homes overtaken by rising floodwater. Yeah, shut down national highways. When you think about this, it really, how could you, if you've ever heard of the term mud flood, how could you, think that there's nothing to it at this point in time? Oh yeah, and how quickly can it hit us everywhere? North America, South America, Europe, Asia, Africa, you name it. It is just everywhere we look. Floods kill 3, leave 1 missing in China. 4 dead at least in a flash flood in northern Vietnam. Almost 8.5 inches of rain in 13 hours. Here you have a family of 4 escaped. This is the ground opening up, and this is in Chennai. You've seen sinkholes like this, much bigger sinkholes even. Then we got bizarre things happening, like this, beautiful ship here, Mexican Navy vessel. This particular picture here is from Lisbon, Portugal. This gorgeous tall ship was in New York in preparations for the 250th anniversary of America's independence in 2026, and it smashed into the Brooklyn Bridge. I kid you not. 2 people died, 19 others injured. And people were watching and then just incredulous as it smashed straight into the bridge, knocking off the big beautiful masts. And it was just kind of incredulous. People were just totally flabbergasted and didn't know what to make of it as a bird lands in the window and is peeking in as we talk. Oh, he's telling me I gotta refill the feeder. Sorry, I'll get to it right after this video. What happened here? Well, they say it lost power. Yeah, again, to me, this feels like interference. It's really sad, and we send prayers, positive intentions to the families of those and those souls that lost their incarnated lives.
That's what we do. That's what we're here to do there's a lot of sadness and tragedy, but we're also here to help help manage that energetically, because there's a lot of people going through traumas and they don't understand that so much of this is the energy outside of them, the energy external. They don't know how things are changing. So I do believe it is part of our mission and part of our duty, because we do understand energy, to send prayer over to those people to help ignite and help their guides and angels figure out what's best for them.
And then there was this incident in Palm Springs, a car explosion that was deemed an act of terrorism by the FBI. 4 people injured in the blast. A fertility clinic. So it wasn't the opposite thing. It was a fertility clinic. So, again, very curious. We'll keep an eye on this. The FBI says they have somebody in mind. And this is about from debanking to banking arms race, the rise of stablecoins, in case you're not familiar with it. There are a few historical examples of such a massive about-face for an industry, from banks debanking crypto businesses to now embracing stablecoins. If you talk to most crypto startup founders or companies with crypto on the balance sheet, they will have war stories about finding, applying for, and maintaining bank accounts. After the past three years, over half of debanking complaints have been logged against 4 big American banks: Bank of America, JP Morgan, Wells Fargo, and Citibank. Now, as policies that discriminated against the crypto industry, like Operation Choke Point 2.0 and the rescission of controversial accounting rules, SAB 121, have been repealed, the new openness to blockchain technology from the finance sector is possible. It's imperative that the banking industry stop shunning crypto and start at least understanding it to stay competitive. How stablecoins are deployed will separate the banking winners and losers. And, again, the way things operate, it takes a while for something to become accepted. Now, the thing that we know in this world is that the system, the true power system that's entrenched in place, wants to maintain that. It's pretty simple. In theory, when you look at crypto, it's something that could possibly break that totally apart. So, again, obvious there would be resistance. Yet, at the same time, I'm sure that the power structure would love to be able to monitor and even control every single transaction. I mean, we know this. It's all out in so many different videos and documented through so many different articles. Again, we talked about the whole real estate market thing, and you shall own nothing and they shall be happy. And the fact that we are turning more than ever, not just into a renter nation, but a renter world. And how about the whole monetary system being kind of a renting system at the same time? Because ultimately the goals for the system is to give people an allotment that they have to spend by the end of the month, and it can't accumulate, so you can't save. If you don't use all 2,100 credits or whatever it is, 2,100 coins or tokens, they'll disappear. And so eventually you'll be told what you can spend it on, what is approved, what's not approved, and again, spend it in a certain time or they will disappear, because they can't have any sort of threats to the system. So obviously the system is looking at crypto as something that they have to totally control, and we would be very remiss if we didn't realize that's been in their minds since the very beginning. Obviously, yet at the same time, use the system to get out of the system, if you will, unless you're somebody, and there are those out there that are part of this family right now that own property that's totally paid for, have a nest egg of real tangible goods and or precious metals and or things that you could trade, barter and trade. And so they're kind of ready and kind of not tied into things. Those people are well ahead of the curve. If you're counting on being able to access your bank account at will, I wouldn't count on that. Not in the foreseeable future. It's going to be more challenging. We showed a video where they were literally arresting somebody because they needed to withdraw $5,000. And We have a very good friend that needed to make a purchase for a fairly similar amount with plenty of money in the bank, and was given so much grief over, getting that money out. It's as if the banks believe they own your money. Well, it's worse than that. They actually believe they own you.
Well, you definitely want to be in a place where you have flexibility and you can do different things at different times. You don't want to have all your eggs in that one basket, and you don't want to have all your eggs labeled as the same thing. You need to have things spread around so that when we do go through this big change, that you're going to be functional on some level. So that's why I feel it's good to have things here and there and in different corners of your house so that you can, go and get them and utilize them. There's going to be hiccups, and we've talked about this with crypto. This is part of the evolution that's natural, sort of, that we're going through. It's something that we are going to endure. It's not the first time this has happened with this type of financing, this crypto. This is a cyclical thing. And I think, right now, while we can be ready for it.
Yeah, would it boggle people's minds to know that crypto is actually something that was utilized on Earth thousands of years ago?
Right.
Yeah, because this is what the system does. It just gives us something that, is going to be new and shiny, but it's not. They dug it up and they just polished it up and they're handing it back to us. But at the same time, there is there's going to be alternatives. There are going to be alternatives of the same type of technology. We could say, since the system is dark, the light side, the light alternative, the light web, so to speak, instead of talking about a dark web, because, the web itself was, given to us by DARPA, which, again, is not an agency that's here to protect humans. It's here to protect the system.
So understanding this, that there's polarity with everything, and how you utilize things is also, the game of polarity. So whichever side you're on, whatever side that you want to feed, that's what's going to be growing in your life. Your intention is everything.
It is everything. And, one thing that we see is there's a lot of bright lights being reported in the sky all over. This right here is Taiwan, and you could just see something big and bright goes by. Meteor fireball over Wisconsin, 4 other. There you go. They always look the same, and the reality is,
sky. The meteor was seen.
These are ships. These are not rocks. Most of these that you see behaving exactly the same way, they're ships. They're watching you. They're watching us. They're watching the system. They know what the system does.
There's so many different beings watching us out there, and our ether is changing, which is allowing for more beings to come in and to watch us grow, because we are like little children to so many of them, and we have grown and we are evolving, and there's a lot of beings who are very, very interested in evolution.
Yeah, I thought this was cute. War on drugs brought in more drugs. The war on terrorists created more terrorists. Maybe next year we could have a war on farmers markets. Yeah, absolutely. And become your own as best as you can. If you are blessed with a plot of land, or even if you're not, our good friend Dave in the UK, he lives in an apartment and he's on a very limited budget. I mean, extremely limited budget. And he's able to grow so much of his own food, not only for himself, and for others too. And then he also used ingenuity and his wisdom to acquire a plot of land in the neighborhood to share, like a co-op. And they're growing all sorts of stuff there. This is the possibility. Instead of lawns covered in horrible toxic pesticides, we could be growing food everywhere that we need to. Again, the system, it's all about control. And, that system has been exposed. It is exposed. The thing is, they look all big and scary, but we outnumber them vastly.
Indeed.
They are the ones that are truly afraid.
I agree.
And with good reason. As always, thank you for your support, guys. Source bless. Namaste.
Namaste.